Hey there, how we doing tonight? Smiling Stu Sutherland coming at you this evening. Hey, just do a quick little bit of housekeeping here right off the bat. I am using StreamYard, so if you want to be able to be seen on the comments, make sure you go in and give StreamYard permission so that we'll see you on any comments that you make. All right, and of course, let me know if you're coming live or replay with a 1 or a 2 in the chat. Let's know where you're from and any questions you've got, drop it in the chat. Okay, well, tonight, folks, I'm going to kind of depart from the normal YouTube or the normal live format. Okay. A lot of you know I've been taking this class on AI, and I promised to bring the rest of that to you the first part of this week. So I completed that over the weekend. And I've already come to you and told you about some of these neat tools like Chat GPT and some of these neat things that you can use to help you with your productivity. But tonight, I'm going to take a look at the scary side of AI. That's right, the scary part of it. Okay. Day 4 of this thing, they had a guest speaker, an interview with a guest speaker, and this guy, I got to tell you, I was on the edge of my seat for an entire hour. And not only that, I was so on the edge of my seats that I couldn't take notes, and I had to go back and watch it again to take notes. And I was on the edge of my seat again. So I'm going to get the branding off here, and I'm not going to worry about any of the normal stuff this evening. I want to just talk to you about what I learned, and um, you know, just what I heard and learned today was just amazing. So the gentleman was a man by the name of Walter O'Brien, and I don't know if you're familiar with Walter O'Brien. Back in 2014, there was a TV show that came on, and it's called Scorpion. I'm going to kind of show you that real quick here. This would be the TV show Scorpion. I found it here on Amazon, available for you. And I'm just going to give you a real quick the intro trailer here because it does a lot to describe who this gentleman is.
My name is Walter O'Brien, and I'm a genius.
Walter!
Einstein had an IQ of 165. Mine's 197.
Sign them, and I'll tell you how I hacked into NASA.
Corporal to command. We have Scorpion. He's just a kid.
When I was a kid, it got me into a little trouble. Now that I'm an adult, nothing's changed. That's why I started this company. A tactical team made up of the smartest people on the planet.
Whoa, what are you doing?
I got this.
Just not necessarily the most normal people on the planet.
Why are you stealing electricity?
Just borrowing it?
I thought we were paying the bills after the Credit National job.
I worked for 3 days on this great loss algorithm.
You got
Credit
lost in the numbers, and you forgot to pay the electric bill.
Homeland Security, we're looking for Walter O'Brien. I ran checks on all of you. Mechanical prodigy, world-class shrink, a human calculator. Brilliant minds working at half capacity. You want to do something meaningful? Here's your chance. 45 minutes ago, there was an automatic software upgrade in the LAX control tower. Now the entire system's down. Incoming flights, 56 of them, are out of comm range. Without land.
All right, so you get the idea on that. Let me get back there. All right, so anyway, you get the idea on that without playing the whole thing. It was a great show. I actually watched it every week, and they tell you at the beginning of the show that this is a real person and that it's a story about real things. And I never really thought that much about it back then when I was watching the show. It was a great show, but it's real. And anyway, this is the guy's Wikipedia page. That's a real picture of him. This guy was credited with catching the Boston bombers. That's how good this guy's AI is. His AI was able to filter out all of the videos from all the bystanders, all the camera videos from security footage, uh, traffic cameras, ATM cameras, everything, and was able to utilize that and filter out all the nonsense data, get the real data. And the way he described it is basically if you were to go into a restaurant and you see all the people on the camera in the restaurant and you were to put a red dot on each of their foreheads and a bomb were to go off or a shooting were to occur, those people would react. They would all dive under a table and then they would immediately get up and start running towards the door. And you would see a trail occur from all these little red dots. And so basically, by following the red dots, you would see somebody who maybe didn't dive under a table or who didn't walk the same way as other people who weren't as astonished by the blast. And by doing that, he was able to find the person or persons that were not doing the same thing and was able to track them down and catch the bomber. Now, this guy is credited with having stopped 29 terrorist attacks, or basically taking care of 29 terrorist attacks. One of them was the Boston bombing. And he actually indicated that that was his one failure, that basically, you know, he had failed in that situation because, you know, he caught him after the fact instead of stopping it. So, you know, it's really interesting stuff. And I'm going to kind of dismiss with some of the normal stuff here with, you know, gotta get me back in there. I'm going to forego some of the normal stuff of trying to get me back in the, or, you know, face the camera because I've got 4 pages of notes on this guy just from a 1-hour thing. And I'm just going to highlight a couple of them just to kind of let you know who this guy is. The guy's got 197 IQ. He's the 5th highest IQ in the world, and Einstein was 160. So if that tells you anything about how smart this guy is, even at one point in time, they showed his left brain, right brain scenario. I believe it's the right brain is the analytical, and the left brain is your basically your empathy and your love and so forth. And basically, this guy's left brain just has no registration, and he's just super genius on the right brain. So he's not able to let any of them, or he's able to keep any of the emotion from bothering his decision making. So anyway, this guy hacked into NASA at 13, stole the blueprints for the space shuttle, was arrested for it, was basically then turned into a child prodigy and started working on AI and cracking things for the government, and started that Scorpion think tank actually at 13. So all that stuff was going on from the time he was 13 on. That's how smart this guy was. So anyway, some of the things he was talking about that make, well, basically, like for instance, he talked about being in Afghanistan and doing work in Afghanistan and being able to spot like people bearing an AID or an IED, whatever they call it, because they would put in the data points for basically where all the bad guys were, where all the good guys were, where all the city leaders were that could be either good or bad, depending on who paid them last, where all the equipment was, and then ran scenarios with this AI that if everybody attacked everybody, what would happen? And then they took the highest probabilities from that and then tried to solve for it. And they actually figured out that one of the potential problems was that somebody could put cyanide in the water system of a base and basically within 2 days kill 400 people, 400 service people. And so they worked a scenario where they had a valve that would trip that kept the water in house so that it couldn't be contaminated. And they basically set it up. And he said, oh, we just basically walked away and forgot about it until 3 months later when all of a sudden they got a signal that that valve had tripped. And he said basically he was able to go to that military base and shake the hands of all the people that basically would have been dead had he not done that. So, I mean, this guy is credited with possibly even averting, you know, they asked a question about how many people he might have saved. He said somewhere in the neighborhood of 250,000, but that's hard to quantify because, he's been credited with possibly stopping some world wars. And had those occurred, he said, I think the thing he quoted was 240,000 people warring for 8 years or something like that, or 240 million people warring for 8 years. It was huge. So anyway, just a really scary number. So anyway, we talked about that. So anyway, stopped all these attacks. Then he kind of talked about what it's going to do in terms of accelerating the loss of jobs and so forth. And there was a discussion about the Industrial Revolution. And of course, back in the Industrial Revolution, back then, all the work was done by horse-drawn carriages and horses running the mills and things of that nature. And then human sweat equity. And when the Industrial Revolution occurred, of course, a lot of those jobs went away because of machine advances and so forth. And the thing they pointed out was, well, they're credited basically the people were able to reintegrate into other jobs. And the point he made, well, it wasn't so great for the horses because now in Europe, there's about 400,000 horses where there used to be about 4 million horses. And he couldn't even get numbers for the number that were actually work horses. By and large, they're pets or, that sort of thing. They really aren't work horses anymore, draft horses, et cetera, like that. So the point he was making is in the AI revolution, we're the horses, and that it's going to affect the people at the bottom more than it's going to affect the people at the top. It's going to really create more of a discrepancy between the top and the bottom. And I'm going to run down real quick the list of fields that he said will be 90% gone within the next 10 to 15 years. And we would have at that point about 47% unemployment. So here we go. Chefs, budget analysts, masons, tax examiners, meat cutters, butchers, retail salespeople, geological and petroleum workers, or technicians, people that work with their hands, sewers, watch repairers, tax preparers, order clerks, loan officers, paralegals, secretaries, assistants, hostesses, pesticide sprayers, gaming dealers. So, even the people dealing at the casinos are going to be in trouble. And now they even have machines with robot arms that can flip burgers for you. So that's what we're looking at. And he said, basically 47% unemployment. So embrace this AI, folks, because the folks who can use it are going to be the folks who are going to be in great shape. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, again, notes upon notes upon notes. Even a little discussion about the fact that all the things that sci-fi writers have been writing about over the years. Basically, we've built a lot of it. And they said, basically, if you look at Star Trek, the only thing that really hasn't been invented since Star Trek that you see in there is the transporter. Everything else they've got. So and they even ran a contest apparently a few years ago to see if you could turn an iPhone basically into a tricorder, a medical reading device. And that's where you've got these new things where you put your fingers on it. It gives you heart rates that can get sent to your doctor. Apparently, they developed an attachment that could do ultrasounds for pregnant mothers in third world countries, things of that nature. There's even a talk about the fact that the 3 laws of robotics that we've all heard of. A robot may not injure a human being through inaction or allow a human being to be injured. They must obey orders given to them by humans, except if it varies with the first rule. And robots must protect their own existence, except when it conflicts with 1 and 2. Now, the interesting thing about that is that actually was written back in 1942 by Isaac Asimov, and it's still the rules they're looking at today. So that was kind of an interesting part of the discussion. So, and when they started talking about all these scenarios of things that he'd stopped and so forth, he's also credited with the Aegis system, which is the system that targets missiles that are coming at us and tries to blow them up over the ocean. A program called SenGen that basically it's basically a program that runs all scenarios to try and figure out what the worst possible scenario is. That's the one they were using in Afghanistan. So this guy is pretty intelligent guy, and he can really talk to where AI is going and how it is affecting things. He talked about the potential for problems right now with GPT, or OpenAI, or Chat GPT is actually owned right now by Microsoft. And so they've integrated that now with Bing, which of course is a search engine none of us used. But at this point in time, Bing can actually give you better results than Google. And Google's scared about that right now. They're trying to get this Bard AI put together because they're running scared right now. Because right now you can go to Google and you can scan for TVs or something, but let's say it's the big game day and you got a half an hour to the game and you need to figure out where you can go within 10 miles to pick up a flat screen that will fit in the back of your 2008 RAV4. Okay. You can actually type that into GPT or Chat GPT with the criteria asking all that stuff, and it will figure out exactly where you can get the TV that you need that will fit in your car and the price that it's at, and even can put it on hold for you. So why would you even use Google anymore if that's the case? So that's the AI war that's going on right now. So anyway, this guy also, of course, was a contributor to the show that they did, and from that he actually ended up basically helping with Spider-Man and Venom. He was an advisor on Top Gun. So, I mean, this guy does a little bit of everything with his genius. It's pretty amazing stuff. And then they even came down to the whole teleportation thing. And I don't know if you know what the singularity is, but that's basically the time they predict when human intelligence and robot intelligence or artificial intelligence will come together. And it's not supposed to be too awfully far off. So talk about teleportation or even immortality. You're going to get to a point where, and he says, quote unquote, cloning has already been done with chimpanzees officially, and unofficially it's been done with humans. So in other words, it hasn't been announced, but people have actually cloned humans. So that's the kind of stuff that we don't know about every day that gets you on the edge of your seat real fast. So anyway, they were showing, basically the teleportation thing and the whole potential that eventually someday you'll be able to download your brain and put it into another database or something like that. And he was basically extrapolating on the potential for that teleportation becomes real when you can download your consciousness, send it through a wire, put it into another body, or what he kept referring to them as meat vehicles. That's what he called the body, a meat vehicle. So basically send it over to New York or wherever you're wanting to go, and there would be a body there that they would download you into, and then that body would go run around New York and do whatever. And that's kind of was an interesting thing. And then of course, in terms of immortality, if you can clone a human being, well, you could clone yourself you could clone yourself at about 20 years old. And then when you hit 30, you could take your consciousness and pull it out of your 30-year-old body and put it into your new 20-year-old body, and do that every 10 years and essentially achieve immortality and live in your 20s for the rest of forever. And so that was kind of an interesting thought. So there's teleportation, there's immortality, and all that's going to come out of the fact that eventually they're going to be able to download that all into your brain. And even they were talking about, well, could you get a chip and just put Chat GPT in your brain? And he says, well, you won't have to put Chat GPT in your brain. You'll just put a cell chip and you'll access GPT right off the internet and do it with your mind. So these are the things that are coming, and it had me on the edge of my seat, I got to tell you. I got to tell you the cost of the thing was well worth the one interview, to be honest with you, but the whole 5-day thing was pretty amazing. This Billie Jean's AI Crash Course is what it was called. Billy Jean knows marketing. I'm sure you can look him up. I'm not affiliate for him or anything like that, but I mean, it was really a worthwhile course. So, I guess that's all I got for you tonight. I hope you can still sleep okay when you think about some of this stuff. I'm not so sure I can, but that's it, folks. Something to think on. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Smiling Stu out.